It's Gemini time. Google have a multi-platform subscription that connects Gemini to its workspace and apps. But is it useful? Is it worth upgrading for this compared to others like ChatGPT? In this video, I'll be going over the Gemini platform and I'll briefly show how it connects to the apps. But since there's a lot to cover, I'll be posting 3 more videos about how Gemini connects to the apps in more detail. So stay tuned. So in order to get full use of Gemini, the new models, you need to be subscribed to Google AI Pro or Google AI Ultra. You can do it through Workspace as well at $20 a month, which is the same price as the competitors like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity. You get access to Gemini within your Google Apps, your Gmail, your Google Docs, your Google Sheets, for example. I'll show how that connects. And then you've got 2 terabytes of storage that you get in your Gmail and in your Google Drive, which is a heck of a lot. Like I said, we're going to focus on the Gemini platform, and I'll show how it connects to the apps. It's very similar to ChatGPT, if you're familiar, or the others, Claude. They all have their chats on the left, and you've got your settings on the bottom. The first thing you want to do, connect to your apps. You've got your Google Workspace. So that's your Gmail, your Google Drive, your Google Docs. Select it on and click connect so that it has access to those apps. You've got other apps that you have connected to your Google Workspace. Switch off the ones you don't really use much or you don't use at all, because you don't want Gemini going to there. I've left Google Maps on because why not? When you're out and about in your mobile, because Gemini's on your mobile, and you want to be able to ask it, hey, how do I get to this street using voice command? You can now do that within the Google Maps. I've also switched on my connection to YouTube and YouTube Music. Music, it's less functional, but the YouTube is actually very useful, and I'll show later in the video how you can use that. Once you've switched those on, you also want to go into your Gmail if you're a Google Gmail holder. Click on the settings on the top right here, see all settings, scroll down to Smart Features, turn it on, and also go to Google Workspace Smart Features, click on this Manage Workspace Smart Features settings, and switch on the connections to allow Gemini to connect to your workspace. Click Save, and now we're set. So back in Gemini now, everything's connected. You can already connect to your apps by clicking the @ sign, and you've got all these apps. The ones I've enabled are on the top. So you can access your Gmail, you can access your calendar, you can access your Google Drive, your YouTube. Also, when you start with Gemini, what I suggest, or even if you're already using it and you haven't done this, go to your settings, and in Saved Info, you've got instructions on how you want it to deal with you throughout your interactions with it. You might have gems, you might have a whole host of chats that you've had on different topics. Each chat might be different tones. You might have one that's formal, one very casual conversation, but here's the master behavior, and you can be very specific about what you want. I've written a whole paragraph about myself, what I like, what my preferences are, but I haven't invested enough time personally in Gemini. In ChatGPT I did. Here I need to invest much more. You should give it as much information. Don't add personal information, of course. Don't give it your credit card number, but just definitely give information that helps it respond to you as you want it to respond to you. It's really important, I think. So now I'm in a new chat. The first thing you need to do, choose your model. So you've got access to the 2 latest models. I believe a new one's coming out soon. You've got your 2.5 Flash, which it even says fast all-around help, or the 2.5 Pro reasoning, math, and code. If you're going to prompt it for a conversational response, you want to write an email, you want to have a more kind of free-flowing conversation with your AI assistant, then use the Flash. If you want a more structured, logical approach to the response, you want more reasoning, you want to analyze a spreadsheet or data, and you want it to organize that in a certain way, then use the 2.5 Pro. Just be aware, once you've chosen your model and you've started chatting with it, you can't switch back to a different model. Unlike ChatGPT, which is, in my opinion, one of the weaker points of this Gemini platform, I want to be able to go back and forth. So in ChatGPT, I'm able to say, okay, start with 4.0 model and move to the logical model to analyze something and come back and have a conversation with it, which is more free-flowing based on the responses that I've already had. Here, you can't do that. But the big advantage of Gemini is that it boasts a 1 million token context window, which is very big compared to the others. ChatGPT, for example, the 4.0 model has 128,000 tokens, and the O3 is at 200,000. So it's 5 times more than the bigger ChatGPT model. A million tokens it's about 750,000 words. If you look at what 600,000 words would be, it's about 1,500 pages of text. A heck of a lot of information to one prompt, a single prompt, or feed it data of that amount, which is a very big advantage. Because if you're analyzing documents, if you want to summarize a large article or report, then Gemini is able to contain that information in context and give you a response which is more accurate. Whereas the others, like ChatGPT and Claude, they might struggle because they might have run out of that context window. Another really useful thing about Gemini is it's multimodal. So it can generate imagery and it can even generate videos here. So I can ask it, can you generate a thumbnail image for me as an idea here based on a video idea that I was talking to it about here in this chat. So it's able to design me an image and I can say, okay, that's good, that's not good, and start directing it. To be honest, I would prompt it what I want to see in the thumbnail and not just say, hey, give me an idea. That's why it gave me something that's quite generic and boring, in my opinion. One of the things that you can do also is generate video with VO2, the older previous model, and you get access to the deep research capability. So what this means is it actually goes and thinks through what you're asking it to research for you. So if you're doing market research, if you're searching online, this is replacing online searches now. For example, I have a chat here where I asked it, you're a marketing research expert. I want you to find and show me the top 10 advisors in the AI field that share their tools and methods and how they implement, what are their strategies, what tools they're using. I want it to be structured in a nice paragraph, use bullet points if needed. First thing that it does, it tells you what its logic is going to be. Find prominent AI advisors. From the list of potential advisors, select the top 10 who are most recognized. For each of the 10 selected advisors, locate their primary professional websites or landing pages, analyze the content on their platforms, identify the specific tools. So it's actually building a logic. And then it asks you, are you okay with this? Do you need to edit it? I just clicked start research. And then it takes quite a bit of time to go through the actual research process. Once it was done, it created this, the report. And I have this button to open up. It opens up what looks like the canvas mode. So I'll go over the canvas mode shortly. But basically, in terms of research, it gave me the breakdown of all the information I wanted from the research. It gave me an executive summary, the synopsis of its key findings, the report objectives and structure, and then it started giving me the advisors, the top 10 that I asked for, and all the information about them. I could take this and ask it, can you summarize it much more concisely for me? Or I can export it to a document or create an audio overview of it and use it elsewhere. So as you saw, I was able to create a canvas out of it, except I can't edit it. If you click here, the canvas button, you can open up a word processor within Gemini. So for example, if I'm in a chat and I've created a canvas, I've created content that it opened up in the canvas. In this case, I've closed it. I've closed the canvas mode. You can reopen it. It always stores the last canvas result that you got. It seems to me you can't have multiple canvas results in the same chat. So you can't look at a canvas you had in the earlier part of the chat and then a new canvas result later on in the chat. It just keeps the last one that was created for you. Once you open that, on the left here, you can continue chatting to Gemini, or you can work within the word processor that is opened up in this canvas mode. You can create bold text, italics, bullet points, numbered lists. You can export to docs or share it and copy the contents to paste into Microsoft Word or another software. You can create an audio overview of it. So in this mode, you've got other functions like change the length of the response. So I can make it shorter and longer. I can change the tone, make it more formal, more casual, or suggest edits. I can also highlight parts of the text and chat to just that paragraph. So I can say, make this more concise. And once that's done, if you're not happy with something, you can just go to the previous version, basically like an undo. So what this gives you is if you're editing a document, if you're creating content and you want to analyze something or you want to check on it, you could say, can you go online and verify this? You can basically engage the content that you're creating with Gemini, check on things that are in the content that you've created. To close the canvas, all you do is click close and you're back to the chat. So back to the apps. We're not there yet where Gemini is your agent within the Google Workspace. It's not operating fully as an agent. Let's call it a semi-agent. So you can connect it to your Google Calendar and tell it, literally, set me a meeting, and it'll set a meeting up, and I'll see meeting with Bill set up for me at 10 a.m. So if I want to be more specific and connected to an actual email and invite the right person, I can ask it to go into my calendar. I can also ask it to go into my Gmail, and it should be able to generate that meeting with this specific individual, going into my Gmail, looking for him, and saying, okay, I'm going to set up a meeting using Google Calendar at this time tomorrow from this email address. If I give him his full name, it should pull out that email and put it in there as a meeting. Why would you do that? If you're using Gemini to assist you in how you work with your colleagues, with your clients, and you're doing it through this platform, you've got email coming from them. You want to be able to generate content here. And because you're already on this platform, you might suddenly realize, okay, so I want to talk to them about this information, and you already know they're available and willing to meet you at that time. You can do it from here. Does it save you time? Can I just go to my calendar and say, okay, I'm going to set up a meeting here? I don't know how much time that saves you. It's just moving towards a situation where you've got this assistant that you can just send it and give it tasks. You can connect it to your Google Docs. You can pull in files within your Google Docs or within your Google Drive. You can ask it to, like I said, look through your Gmail, a whole thread of conversations from a certain individual, and bring that in context of what we've been talking about in this chat. In YouTube, another useful tool. So if I give it a URL of one of my videos, I can ask it summarize this video for me, and it'll go into that video, transcribe the video, understand what the content is, and reply to my prompt. And it said, here's a summary of the video on how you manage ChatGPT projects, which was my last video. Think of projects as separate focused conversations on different topics. For giving me the time codes, general tips, keep your instructions and project files updated, best results. Tells me here's the link and watch it if you want. Quite a handy tool, especially if you're learning a lot from YouTube. There's a lot of information out on YouTube. It's now the number 2 search engine in the world. It's the number 1 media platform in the world. It dwarfs Netflix and the others. And if you listen to a video and you thought, wow, that's amazing, but I really want it condensed down, ask it to summarize it to you in a certain way in the format that you want, and it'll do that immediately for you. So quite a handy tool. So that connectivity to Google Apps from here is actually very handy, I think, for us. I'm looking forward to it being more agentic, so being able to send it off to actually do things for you, but it's still limited in its scope of what it's able to do. So you can't, for example, you can't really treat it like an agent, go off and do things in a more automated manner. That's not there yet. In the next year or two, we will be there. And I'm sure Google are working on it. So within your apps, you also have access to Gemini. Just be aware, when you click here on the Gemini icon, you get access to Gemini in the chat window. You're able to access the gems you created in Gemini, get them to perform the task that they know how to perform, to access these files and summarize these files here. Often what happens is that you'll ask yourself, well, why would I go there when I can just stay here? One of the things that they need to answer for themselves at Google is, what do I actually need Gemini for? Just be aware, in each app, you've got that chat window that you can access now that you've subscribed. So another functionality of Gemini within this platform, you can create gems. So gems are like in ChatGPT projects or Claude projects, more specific oriented AI assistants, so to speak. So I've got one that takes a transcript of conversations I've had with clients. I do some consulting on AI and how it connects to their business. Every time I have a chat with them, this particular gem, if I look in its instructions, so I clicked here on the left on the gem and clicked edit, I have the instructions, which is the master prompt, that every time I start a new chat, this is the first prompt that comes in and tells it, okay, this is what you're going to do. I tell it what it is, who it is, what its role is, what's its task, its tone, what is it supposed to deliver, how is it supposed to deliver. I also give it files if it needs them, so knowledge files. In this case, I give it a questionnaire that I give to clients for reference, because it helps it with the context of what I'm trying to get at. I'm going to feed it a transcript. So one of the things I say to it in my instruction, I'm going to give you a transcript of my conversation, create a clear, scannable report, use the structure and tone below. Your goal is to help me see where I can advise and help the clients use these tools. Then I can click here and upload the transcript or add it from my drive. Click on it and say insert it here and ask it for that report. And give it in the format that I wanted, my opportunity table, which I asked for in a specific format. What are the 5 most biggest opportunities that I have with this client to help him, to advise him, what my recommended next actions are, and questions to ask in the next call. So I've asked it to do that every time I have a discovery chat with a new client. So these gems are really useful. So other functionality, you can generate audio overviews of documents. So upload a document, let's say of this one, which is a transcription, say generate audio overview, and click here, and it'll generate kind of a podcast conversation between 2 people. Why would you do that here? Is one question I would have.
All right, everyone, welcome back. And maybe you're asking this too. Is Google's Gemini, especially how it plugs into workspace apps like Docs, Gmail, Sheets, is it really worth using, maybe even upgrading for?
Exactly. And that's what we're going to.
Basically, this is operating just like Notebook LM. And if you want to see how Notebook LM works, I've done a video on it. Since Notebook LM is free to use and you get access, even more access to it when you're subscribing to the Gemini subscription, I kind of feel like you'd rather go to to Notebook LM. However, some people might say, no, I want everything here centralized within my one platform, and I'm not scattered over multiple platforms. Maybe you've generated a report and listened to it on your car. So you download it onto your mobile phone and just kind of play it in the car on your way to a meeting or whatever. So possibly people will find this quite useful to use. In addition, let's look at what it can and cannot do. I've said to it, look at my Google Drive, look at the image named marketing and sales workflow.png, and explain what the process is in bullet points. It's referencing an image and there's a workflow, and to summarize it for me. And it was able to do it in bullet points as I asked it. But it said this image also seems to categorize the difficulty of these tasks. So I told it it's color-coded regarding easy, medium, time-consuming. And it says, you're right, that's a limitation on my end. While I can extract the text from the image, I'm unable to see the colors. If I upload an image from here, an image I created for a client who's a Pilates instructor, and I said, what is this image? It'll describe it for me so it sees it. It's a woman performing a core strengthening exercise on a Pilates reformer machine. The Hebrew text says this. But if I upload it, call on it from a Google Drive using that connection to the app, it's not able to look at it in the same way. It can read text in that image somehow. It's able to pull out the text, but it's not able to see the image. I hope they fix that, because the whole point of having the ability to reach out into my Google Drive is that I don't want to have to think, is it able to read this? Is it able to pull out all the information? I find sometimes that I ask it to look at a Google Sheets or a Google Doc, but it happens more on Google Sheets, and it doesn't quite get the full data, or it summarizes it, but it doesn't. I have to kind of keep iterating and pushing it to give me the information that I want. And I even asked it, why aren't you able? And it explained to me over here in the Gemini platform, it's a multimodal, so it actually has a vision model within it. But when the second you move it off to the app, it becomes seemingly more language-based or only language-based, which is something to be aware of, is that the Gemini that you work outside of this platform is probably the Gemini Lite version of the models. Over here, you're getting the full multimodal model. I said, here's the image. See if you can describe it again. It understood now fully what the image, summarized it to me in bullet points accordingly. A really important function that is missing in Gemini is the voice mode. you can dictate to it. So you can use your microphone, but essentially that's just transcribing what it is you say to it, compared to, let's say, ChatGPT, where you can dictate to it, but you can also use the voice mode and converse with it, and you have a back and forth conversation. And I use that a lot now because I'm brainstorming, I'm thinking ideas, I'm asking it verbally to go into the online and search for me things. It's really important, I think, that Google add that voice mode into the platform. In the Google AI Studio, you do have that. If you go into Google aistudio.google.com, and I have a video on that, check it out, you can actually talk to it and have a conversation with all these different voices. So I don't understand why, and I'm sure they'll introduce it into the platform soon enough, because it's actually very useful and will become essential. And a function that I do like about within the Gemini platform, it gave me in bullet points an outline of the video ideas. I could go down here and I can say export to docs. It creates a docs file within your Google Drive. So in this case, for example, it gave me the report or the summary of my conversation with my client. So is it worth it? Is $20 a month worth it for maybe even moving from a different platform to this? I think the answer is yes. It's not definitive, but it's just generally yes, which is why I'm going to stick to this subscription, even though I'm going to continue with ChatGPT as well on $20 a month. For a personalized user or personal account, I think it's worth it. For a business account, I think the Ultra is also worth it. If you're a business, that's not a big investment. What you get from it, the fact that you get 2 terabytes worth of storage within the cloud, which is a lot. You get access to, or the start of an agent coming along. It's a bit confusing what they're offering you, because it's different for you as a personal account holder. It's different if you hold a workspace account or a business workspace. So they need to organize that. They need to make it more clear. What can I do with it in Gmail? What can I do with it in Docs or Drive or here in the platform? Should I use it there, or should I just work mainly in the platform, the Gemini platform? Should I be working on Notebook LM more for audio stuff? It's a bit scattered, but for $20 a month, if you just spend some time building your gems, building your prompts, organizing your information, deciding which platforms to use and how, and experiment with them and get good at working with them, it just becomes worth it because they're offering a lot more than the others. The only real competitor is OpenAI. OpenAI and Google are arguably leading the race on AI right now because of their multimodality. They're able to do imagery, video, and deal with language models. ChatGPT had the head start and are building a very useful platform, which is why I'm focusing mostly on that. But now Gemini has caught up. Having an AI connect to all that workspace and that environment is a winning solution. I highly recommend it to my clients. I highly recommend looking at it and playing with it. It's a question of preferences. The other models are very good as well. So it's not about which is better. They're all going to keep outsmarting themselves, and they'll always be on par more or less with each other. So the question is what you get for your money. And I think Google are on a winning track here. So I hope this video was helpful. There's a lot more to dive into Gemini for sure, especially the prompting. If you want to see my how to prompt, I have a prompt template that I'll leave in the description. And also I have other videos that show how to prompt using ChatGPT, but it's the same methodology. And so if you like this video, click the like button and do subscribe to my channel for more AI tips and tricks. If you want to see how Notebook LM works, then click on this video link here, or you can see another great Google platform that they use to experiment with called Google AI Studio, and you can find it here.